When we eat food, our body breaks it down into nutrients we can use. One of the final products of digestion is glucose, a molecule needed for cellular respiration. But how does it get to cells where it can be used as energy? That's where insulin comes in. When we digest a meal with carbohydrates in it, we break it down into glucose molecules. After a series of digestive processes, glucose molecules end up in the small intestine where they are absorbed into the bloodstream. This causes an increase in blood sugar level, which stimulates the production of the hormone insulin in the pancreas. Essentially, insulin helps to lower blood glucose levels as a form of negative feedback. Insulin targets cells such as skeletal muscle cells, adipose cells, and liver cells. They then bind to an insulin receptor on the plasma membrane of these cells. The interaction between the insulin and the insulin receptor triggers a sequence of events to occur inside of the cell that ultimately increases the cell's uptake of glucose while also promoting energy storage in the cell. This overall process is called the insulin signaling pathway. Let's look at what happens up close. Insulin circulates through the bloodstream until it binds to an insulin receptor embedded in the plasma membrane. The receptor is composed of two alpha subunits in the extracellular environment and two transmembrane beta subunits inside the cell. Insulin binds to the alpha subunits, activating the receptor. Once the receptor is activated, the beta subunit gets phosphorylated. The activated beta subunits then phosphorylate IRS1, which bind to phosphorylated tyrosine residues on the beta subunit. The phosphorylated sites on IRS1 act as PI3 kinase binding sites. PI3 kinase catalyzes the phosphorylation of PIP2, a membrane phospholipid, converting it from PIP2 to PIP3. PIP3 serves as a recognition site for PDK1. PDK1 then phosphorylates AKT, another protein kinase. The activation of AKT triggers a cascade of events that causes GLUT4 glucose transporters to move to the cell membrane, where they facilitate the transport of glucose across the cell membrane into the cell, thus reducing blood glucose levels. Once glucose is inside the cell, it can be used for a variety of purposes. In muscle cells, it can be used immediately to produce energy and to produce glycogen, a short-term energy source. In fat cells, glucose is used to produce triglycerides, an important molecule that is used for long-term energy storage. The insulin signaling pathway is a complex system involving several molecules and several steps. An error along any step of the pathway can have severe consequences, such as the onset of diabetes.